Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Lucky Minerals channel. We're sitting here once again with Francois, and we have an exciting assay update for you guys. We got two to go through here. Let's kick it off by talking about the Sherman one. Francois, let me kick it to you, hand you the reins.
Well, thanks a lot, Michael. It's really thrilling to see what's going on. Uh, our teams out in Ecuador are working really hard. So I had one group go down to this huge area where we found a little bit of gold at surface last year. We found about 1.6 gram at surface. And the geology didn't look like this could bulk up. It looked more something that would be hosted in veins, but I wasn't sure, or actually Victor, the geologist, wasn't sure. So he sent a crew back down there to have a look. So we did, we just put out a press release. In it, we have about 16 samples from the Sherman area, which is about a 25 square kilometer. And within there, one of the areas, Assay, with a couple of nice little kicks, and I'm just going to read them off if you see my head looking away, but 2.9 grams per ton and also 1.98 and three others that are anomalous in gold. Okay, so I don't want, so it's like, oh, all of a sudden this is really interesting. So Victor went back and recompiled a little bit what we had from that same neighborhood. Turns out we had about 9 samples from there, including those from last year. Okay, and all of them carried gold. And that's where we had 1.6 grams last year. So all of a sudden it's starting to shape up to be something that's more than in a vein. So far, the area looks like it's about 30 meters by 30 meters. So about a third of a football field is what we've exposed on surface, okay? And what we're doing with that now is going to try and understand, because now that I have something that could be bulk tonnage, because it's expressing itself at surface with grades, like most open pit mines are averaging about 1.5 grams. So if I'm close to that, and I'm just scratching it right now. I don't know where the stuff is. Worth going back and trying to figure out how big this is and where the sweet spot is. So I had people in the field last week, so we're going to have steady flow as we continue to expand the sampling. One of the things we did last week that you'll see the coming weeks, because we just sent it to the lab. In this particular area, we were able to expose 22 meters consecutive. Okay, and that way we're going to sample systematically. If I can, I don't really think the grade's going to be that different, so it'll be roughly what it is. But if I can demonstrate it's consistently mineralized, then wow, okay, we're in business as far as having a target that can grow to be something open pittable. We just need to find the sweet spot, but we're not just, like this is systematic. It's a disseminated ore body. By disseminated, I mean that it's thoroughly everywhere. It might not be super high grade, but it's everywhere. So you pick up a ton of rock, it's got gold in it, send it to the, so you just have to get scale to be able to make that worthwhile. So that was like a super encouraging thing. It's kind of throwing me for a loop because I hadn't thought this would have been a super high priority. Right now, my priority is Wayka, and I'll come to that in a minute. This bulk tonnage potential, I mean, exploration is a difficult business. If you can find something at surface, the opportunity to drill it, shorter drill holes, a lot easier to drill out, you can create value fairly quickly. So I'm excited about, get to the next step on this thing, which would be define the scope of the surface footprint. And this test we're doing with this continuous trench of 20 meters or so will indicate how continuous it is. So it's like already we're starting to answer some questions. And I got the team in the field. We're starting to find some old workings. So like we're going to have a map of where they are fairly soon. But it tells me that there's probably more in the area than we initially understood. So I'm really happy about that. So the main event at the Wayka is still going on. So last time I spoke, I showed you the results from our rush samples, the first 12. So we got the balance of the initial batch. So obviously the average of this new, or the leftovers, weren't grading as high as what the geologist pick to go rush because, well, that's what they get paid to do, right?
Yeah.
As I told them, like pick the 12 best looking ones. And I mean, people have to understand, okay, like if it's 1 gram material, that's 1 part per million.
Hmm.
The reason they choose it is not because they can see the gold, but based on the geology and stuff. But the good news is that the balance of what we had in Wayka, okay, also had some very interesting results. So that just a second, I'm pulling that up. So out of the balance of them, I'd say visually, I'm looking at it right now. I've got about half of them are anomalous in gold. Okay, and I mean, what's the definition of that? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's a pretty subjective thing, but it does confirm that the footprint's getting bigger. The system is like what I would call showing up in a lot of places. So it's not just us picking a point and then continuing to sample around just to create more noise about it. We're doing the work systematically. And last week, the team was down to the south and they picked up another 20 samples. So like, I know it continues to the south. We'll see the results when they come back from the lab. This week, I have a team going to the north. The terrain's a lot tougher going north. So I don't know how far they're going to be able to go.
Hmm.
But we're doing what we're supposed to do. And the next steps with this guy, with Wayka, is going to be, as we get all of these samples in, we're going to be able to do what's called the terraspec analysis. So right now we're picking up rocks, and geologists will interpret what kind of rock it is. But when it's altered, which is the stuff that is interesting to me because that's where the gold is, we can subject that to spectrographic analysis. Okay, and that gives you very precisely the kind of alteration that it is. Okay, also, I think I'm not a geologist, but what happens is by the kind of alteration kind of tells you the temperature and acid regime that was existing when the minerals formed. So it kind of allows you to put together a puzzle or a direction as to where the stuff was hotter, if you want, like hotter either in temperature or acidity. And that's where we're going to find the feeder zones, which are the things that have the very high grades that allow the deposit to really like expand. Okay, so it's the hunt for that is what's going on at Wayka. So I might have something which on average has 1 gram,
Hmm.
but I can find these feeder zones, then I can bring up the average to like, I mean, at Loma Larga, that's a deposit to the north of us. And some of the feeder zones they intersected had like 60 meters of 9 gram material.
Wow. Okay.
The average is still just 1.5 grams, but it can really change the economics of a project, and it can really change the economics of how you're going to mine it because you got these things that can carry the operation. So I'm kind of very keen to do that work. So I don't think I think we're in the upper parts of the systems at Wayka, so we're getting a little bit of smoke. The stuff's probably not that deep because it's already starting to show its surface. So I want to drill into it, okay, but to drill into it, you need to generate the right kind of, like, maximize the amount of information. So this alteration mapping and the work we're doing at surface is very important to guide that. We're lucky at Wayka because at Wayka we have geophysics already done
Hmm.
because it came from the former joint venture partner. So I've already confirmed, I know the orientation of the structures, at least the most important one that I think is controlling the mineralization. And on that basis now, we need to, like, where are we going to spot the holes? Might not be where I got the 2.9 gram sample. It could be where I had the most or the hottest mineralization. I'll want to like start to fence that out. And at least, my objective with that first time we're going to drill into it will be to demonstrate that the epithermal system is there and it's a disseminated system. If I'm lucky, I can hit a feeder zone in there, and so I'll have a good width of high grade as well as the disseminated envelope. But for now, the first step would be also to demonstrate I can hit like a disseminated envelope to show the scale of the mineralized system. So it's always about showing and understanding whether you're dealing with a one-off that's too small really to be of interest, or if it's something that's really big. I mean, if the whole 3 kilometers of like anomaly that we've identified with the geophysics carries, and it's, you know, average epithermal deposits are 200 meters thick, you're starting to talk about a lot of tons of rock. So I just, like, if I get something that carries across that kind of distance, we're going to be in for a very exciting time.
Yeah, yeah. Let's hop into it a little bit here. So, like, how excited are you about these assays? Were they what you expected? It sounds like you were a little thrown off by the Sherman one. Like it was above what you were really thinking. And does it change your perspective on what you want to focus on at all? Because Wayka, as you said, is on the main stage, sitting in the spotlight right now.
That's a good question, because if we'd spoken together last year, my number 1 target's El Garo. Number 2 target would have been Sherman, but not in this area where we went. Okay, it would have been a bit to the north, where I hit a couple of places of like 0.3, 0.4.
Mm-hmm.
But like with what's happened, particularly at Wayka is now my number 1 target. So I'm gonna be like getting some budget to do some drilling, and on that basis, Wayka's number 1. Now with what I've found at surface at Sherman at this Makuche area, I'm probably going to have to rethink the priorities. Okay, so it's not exploration. You have to adapt and be humble. You can have all the plans you want. Your plans are only as good as the latest information that you get, and you have to be humble and thorough. And it's like, yeah, I might not have thought, but you know, the Victor decided to send somebody to kind of expand our knowledge around the high grade area.
Mm-hmm.
I might not have agreed with the idea, but I'm certainly in agreement with the results.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So I would say, seeing these high numbers in places like this is a good problem to have. So congratulations on receiving these problems, because you just got to make some choices now, as you said, based on the data.
Now I'm in the comfortable, unfortunate position. It's comfortable because I have more geology than I have geologists. I have more work to do than I have people in place. Okay, now, I mean, I'm not going to start hiring like crazy. Let's just do things sequentially. But the whole plan was to build out a pipeline. The pipeline's a lot better than it was a year ago. Okay, a lot better. These targets are drill ready already. I'd say, well, they're not quite drill ready, but they're within 2 or 3 months of being drill ready.
Mm-hmm.
So it's exciting in that perspective. But now I'm not even going to be able to drill all my targets.
Wow.
My initial pass. Okay, so like I'll have things that are ready to drill, and I won't have the drilling budget, and I'm not going to start to drill. I want to like first drill a little bit, see if I've got traction. If I do, I'll probably like, you know, first campaign I'm doing is 2,000 meters. Second campaign might be between 5 and 10,000 meters if it carries. And then on that, out of that, I can probably sneak out, you know, another 500 meters for these other targets and just keep going. You don't know which one's going to hit. So
Yeah.
you just got to keep pushing the pipeline and, you know, work to condemn these things. But right now the opposite's happening. It's like, it's not like I'm not finding stuff. I'm finding very strong signals. Next step is to drill it. And the truth machine will either make it go hotter, more exciting, or will go send us back to the drawing board, scratching our heads, trying to understand where the gold went.
Yeah. Well, let's hope it's more of the former and not so much of the latter. But either way, this is an exciting update. Thanks for coming on and sharing, and congratulations again. If anyone has any questions about this, about assays, about gold per tonnage, what is seen as a good target, what's not, please send over questions to us. We'll be very happy to answer anything you guys got for us. Thank you for watching again. Francois, any last words before we go?
Wish us luck and stay tuned, because we got stuff going into the lab every 3 weeks, every 2 or 3 weeks. So like, we're just going to keep putting this out. Okay. And we'll be able to know more about what we have based on the surface signature at least. And we're going to get ready to drill. Okay.
Wonderful. All right, Francois. Well, thank you for coming on. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Take care.